liquor tastes sweeter in this town. Could it be it's the same as the last? I swear I've seen your face elsewhere before, just as familiar as a bottle and a glass. Hey darling, sleeping on the blacktop. Hey darling, running through the trees, honey. Hey darling, leaving for the next town. Listen, my set sketches up with me.
Alright everybody, welcome back to episode 5 of the Back 40 Skull Sessions podcast. I am Shane Poore and I'm here with Christian Garner. And we have a very special guest joining the podcast with us today over the phone. Christian, do you want to introduce this guy?
I'm really excited about this one. We got Sean Lundy with us from Drury Outdoors. Really cool guy. We've talked with him a couple times, leading up to this. We've got a lot of stuff to cover here.
Yeah, Sean, thank you for joining us today.
Yes.
No, absolutely. It's been a while. I mean, I think on everyone's end, we've been real busy, and finally it was, especially, we tried to get it done the other day, and then today came, and it seemed to be one issue after another, and finally we got everything taken care of, and here we are, so I'm excited.
Yeah, it sounded like you had a fairly interesting day today.
Yeah, it's this time of the year, we're getting done with turkey season, but we're prepping for upcoming deer season or whatever the case may be, and I do a lot of the spraying for my actual annual plots that are going to be going in end of July, beginning of August. But this time of year, I spray and mow my perennials and stuff like that for my clover and things like that. So yeah. The idea today was, all right, I'm going to go ahead and mow my clover, but I'm going to go ahead and I'll spray in a couple days. So I convinced where I'm going to get this clover plot put in, it's already established, but to get to it, I've got to get a truck to come in and lay some dirt. There's a big washout, and we're talking like mud.
Yeah. And
like black mud. Like, you guys ever heard of muck?
Oh, yeah.
This was like straight. So I knew the side-by-side could make it through it, so I grabbed my daughter, and I said, listen, hopefully, my kids, for the most part, when mom's not around, they fear mom more than me. But when she's not around, it's like, so my wife, she works from 6 at night till 6 in the morning, so we knew she was sleeping, and I didn't feel like loading up the bush hog, so we're going to take the zero-turn mower, and we're going to bring this back half a mile in the woods. But the idea is the trails are pretty nice, but I've got a couple of these washouts, so somehow we made it back there.
Yeah.
We're laughing, like, okay. So I just, told her, I said, hey, hon, get on this side-by-side and just start driving around the place, and when I'm done, I'll find you.
Yeah.
Well, she actually said what she heard. She looked over the hill, and she could see me standing off the mower, and I don't know how this happened. My father-in-law fixed it. We're going to blame it on my wife. But for her to find out, for some reason, I'm driving, and granted, it's not as bumpy as your traditional lawn. I mean, it's a clover plot. They're pretty nice.
Yeah.
The whole front end just fell off. And I knew it because I had it on the highest setting, and I'm just clipping the top of the clover. So, now I'm burning dirt. I'm like, what's going on here? And I look down, and once I got off, the first thing that came to my mind is, how am I going to get this mower out of this woods? Like, there's no way to get it out of here.
Yeah.
I've got a pretty good sense of humor. My daughter's got a good sense of humor. She's one of those, she's kind of hard to discipline because she smiles. She kind of laughs at inappropriate things. But she's a sweetheart. So she comes up, and that's the first thing she says. She's like, gosh, Mom is going to kill you. And by then, I already sent pictures to my father-in-law, her grandpa. Luckily, he's a man of all trades. He's like, well, it looks pretty easy. We could fix that. So I'm on the phone with him. Are you saying we could fix it now or we could fix it tomorrow? When he said now, we took the winch on the side-by-side, lifted it up in front of it up in the air, almost like a tow truck, had my daughter sit on the mower. We're dragging this thing backwards half a mile out of the woods.
Oh, my God.
And as I'm making turns, we got to make sharp turns, so she's still using the mower. The mower's running.
She's still using the sticks.
Yeah, but not knowing really, for everybody out there, if you decide and you get your mower stuck in the woods, you actually do not have to keep it running. My father-in-law's like, why don't you just reach under it? You can actually put, from a latch, you can put the mower in neutral.
Yeah,
so, if you're going, so I learned that out the hard way, but we got it fixed. And when I got back to the house, it was funny because all the kids they all came out to the trailer, and they're just laughing hysterical. So it was one of those, okay, who's going to be here when Mom gets up? And nobody wanted to say. So 2 of them volunteered to go with me. No, two volunteer if we drop them off at their friend's house. I went in, woke the wife up real quick. I said, "Hey, sweetheart, I got to go take the mower to Dad's. What's wrong with it? Oh, just something ain't right on. I got to get it looked at." That was it. But, and that's what took so long. Otherwise, we would have started this podcast with you guys earlier this morning. But it was a whole adventure.
Oh,
but
yeah.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, that's it.
We added some extra steel to the front of it, though. So we actually went back after the wife went back to work tonight, and we got the rest of the Clover mode. So
there you go.
Until she looks on social media tomorrow, she's going to find out the real story. But by then, hey, it's fixed. We're good.
Well, it's too late to get mad after it's fixed anyway.
right.
So
That's right.
That's awesome.
That's
awesome. Well, speaking of your kids, we wanted to congratulate you and your son for him winning the trap shoot championship for state.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. I mean, he's definitely he's a different breed. Like all of my kids hunt, they all are into it, a little bit. But my son Cole, he's like ate up with it. He lives and breathes it. It's his whole life, and he's in 6th grade. He'll be going into 7th next year. And a couple of guys out here, I think it's 8th grade or something. You can join the shooting sports team, which is basically trap shooting and stuff like that.
Right.
So a couple of friends of mine's run it. And they said, "Well, just bring your son out there." And we brought him out there, and naturally, he's not shooting as good as the seniors are shooting,
yeah,
but he started shooting all year, so his scores were up there enough. So when he went to state, he'd be shooting at the varsity level.
yeah.
So, which was kind of like, an honor. And it's so for the whole school, there's a lot of schools in the state of Indiana that were at this shoot. And here we are in Noble County, Indiana, just out in the sticks to see a school that really only the second year, because last year with COVID, they kind of shut most of it down.
Right.
Here they are. They go in. Some of these schools have been shooting for 30, 40 years. So these kids go out there this year and they bring their A game and they end up winning the state tournament. Like, unbelievable.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
So yeah, definitely. It was definitely a very exciting day yesterday. So
I guarantee it. As a dad moment, that you've got to be proud. I mean, you got to be blown away.
Oh, definitely. It's one of those things to like your kids. They always do. It's funny because they say watch what you do because your kids watch you. Everything you do, whether you're out there. That's why you try to raise them right, but my father's always told me all you can do is put them on the right train and hope you did good, because you can't tell them what station to get off at. You know what I'm saying? When they get older,
Yeah.
So you gotta. And it's just, but when he started trap shooting, now Cole's been, blessed enough to hunt a lot of cool different places with me. But when it came time to trap shooting, I didn't want him going in there thinking, well, heck, I've waterfowl hunted all over the place. And I told him that. I said, it's when you do this, I want you to try to kind of forget everything I told you about shooting a shotgun. Because we're hunters, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you're out there, you
yeah.
shoot different. You're walking through the woods. You're in a blind. You're laying back. Whatever the case, trap shooting, it's a different beast.
It really
and when
is.
I went out there and watched, when I seen some of these 8th and 9th grade kids, I couldn't hold a candle to them if I would. Like, I would love to take these kids, not even on a pheasant hunt, on a quail hunt or a chucker hunt. I mean, they can shoot, you know, and that was his biggest downfall in the beginning. But he's so crazy about, the outdoors and shooting and stuff like that. He picked up on it. It was good that he's shot quite a bit before, but realistically, it's just going to make him even that much better of a shot. So he did. The coaches, they do a phenomenal job, and especially, like I said, to take a young group of kids and to go in and win the state championship is unbelievable. So
yeah, that's awesome. That's incredible. That's awesome. Well, Sean, I think the first thing we want to get into today, I'm sure us, along with everyone listening to this podcast, you have a very interesting background. Christian was telling me a little bit about it. How about we get into your background as far as hunting goes and stuff, and how you got into the hunting industry? I mean, getting in with the Drurys, that's quite an accomplishment. They are the best in the industry.
Very much so.
Yeah, it's definitely very humbling. To this day, being on the Drury's team, and you look at some of the, Mark and Terry, and then everybody that they have brought on. There's some heavy hitters out there. Some guys that are just powerhouses, big whitetail killers, and it's to this day, it's still a little bit intimidating, but not as much because it became like a big family. You know, everybody supports each other. But when I first came on, we'll go back, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years ago maybe. I've always watched Drury's for over 30 years. And what I liked about them is they kept it real.
Yeah.
Like you've seen the misses on TVs. You've seen this. It wasn't just, hey, we go out there, we got to kill a giant, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
And it really touched home with me. So I've always, you know, tried to start filming my own hunts, and it's always hard to sell film and everything. So I'm filming my own hunts, this and that, and I just wrote a letter to Drury Outdoors. And actually, you know, it was probably about a month or so after that, I'm sitting in the house, and I get this letter back from, you know, out in Missouri, and I'm like, Drury Outdoors. I'm like, oh, you know, bull crap, this can't be real, you know? So I open it up expecting this typed letter, you know, and at the bottom, you know, signed just Drury Outdoors Incorporated or something, you know?
Yeah.
And it's actually a handwritten letter from Terry Drury.
Oh, wow.
You know, and don't get me wrong, they're so busy. I mean, they've got so many things going on for them. But Mark and Terry do make their way to the studio here. You know what I'm saying? It's the business, and they're not just, you know, they're very involved with it. It's a big family thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, they might not be able to read all of them, but it just took a point that, I don't know, maybe something I wrote in the letter must have said, hey, you know, why don't you write back to this guy?
Yeah.
You know, and I should say, guy, at the time, I was probably a young adult, you know, talking maybe 20 years ago. So at that point, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I got a letter back, and it's not that I didn't care about being on Drury's then, but it almost like it took care of the fix. I'm like, man, that's cool. You know, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, you know, and they acknowledged it.
Yeah.
So a little while goes after that, and I started talking, you know, going to trade shows and stuff, and meeting some of the guys from Drury's and everything, and spending some time with them at the trade shows, just picking their brain on some, you know, things that they do and camera equipment and stuff. And I became, you know, somewhat pretty decent friends with some of the guys that were on the shows. So then fast forward, you know, to about, well, rewind for us about 5, 6 years, but from that time, fast forward about 10 years, I actually go ahead and send some more footage in and stuff, and I get a phone call from Matt Drury, and he's like, hey, listen, I don't know, you know, what you got going on, if you're busy, but we would like to, you know, why don't you go ahead and film a turkey hunt and tell us a little bit about your job and your career and stuff. And what was interesting about it is I started a long time ago, over 20 years ago, working in the correctional part of law enforcement.
Yeah.
Then I made my way up to working as a regular road officer, working the highway, and then eventually made myself over as working as a task force agent for one of the federal agencies. So I started working a lot of undercover and narcotics and everything. And at this time, I was just starting to work less undercover and run more informants and actually be more of like the investigation part of it.
Yeah.
So I ended up filming this turkey hunt down at our property in Southern Illinois. And then I also did some filming of stuff of just my everyday life, my family, you know, how, you know, law enforcement is looked at, you know, these days, and, you know, what we deal with. And I just gave it to them, and they did this awesome, you know, DOD episode on their DOD TV segment, and it ended up like going really good. Like, people were very supportive about it, and then they ended up airing it on the Sportsman's channel for Drury's, well, it's Winchester's Drury's Natural Born Show.
Yeah.
So they did that, and then it was the very following year when Critical Mass came out, which has kind of took over for Dream Season on the Outdoor Channel.
Yeah, yeah.
They said, hey, listen, we've got a guy that backed out. We got an opening. Would you like to be on the show this year? So at first I'm thinking like, yeah, you know, instantly I was just like, yes. I'll never forget where I was. I was in a parking lot on my way back from a hunt. I told Matt, I'm like, yeah, like, this is a no-brainer. But, you know, before I hung up, I'm like, hey, like, I am the everyday guy, Matt. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to bring 3 or 4 150, 160-inch deer to the table. Like, I can't do that, you know. The ground I hunt, and he's like, no, go ahead. It's fine, you know, just get out there and just do your thing. So now, you know, the season starts, and I'm you know, trying to record everything, all of us prepping food plots, doing whatever. But I just included some of my just goofy everyday life stuff, you know, and stuff that I do with my family. And the first year came on, and Greg Glessinger, he ends up it's you vote on by the cast members. There was 12 of us, and they voted on who was we thought was the winner of Critical Mass.
Yeah.
So we go ahead, and he ended up killing a 200-inch deer with a bow. So that's like the pinnacle. Everybody wants that. So we're like, man, this is a no-brainer. This guy killed it this year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, after it was over, like on episode 13 on the Outdoor Channel, Matt says, hey, now it's your turn, the viewers, as the fan, to vote who you think was fan favorite.
Yeah.
Well, the next morning I get up, we're all congratulating Greg, he won, So I get up the next morning, I get a phone call that I ended up winning fan favorite. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's pretty cool,
Yeah, that's awesome.
So then we go back to, season 2, and we do the whole Critical Mass thing again. And I'm just bringing, 100, and to me, they're good deer, 125 to 135, maybe 140-inch deer to the table,
Yeah, yeah. And, deer that everyone's happy with.
Episode 2, I probably killed the smallest deer total on the entire 13 episodes that year. Then at the end of the year, the winner of the show is actually voted on this time by the people at home.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, we'll see what happens. And then sure enough, I'm watching episode 13, because some of it's, pre-recorded, and I didn't, and I went, they're sitting there, and Matt's like, and the winner is, and we're waiting up. I got some ideas of who I think's going to win. And sure enough, that right there on watching the Outdoor Channel, the whole family, they say, call out Sean Lundy. And it was like, my kids are jumping, everyone's excited. I look at my wife, I'm like, hey, is this a joke? Like, did someone send you a DVD? Is this like, I got tears in my eyes, cannot believe this. I'm like,
so awesome.
And I'll never forget it. I walked out on the porch that night because some of the guys from the team were calling me, congratulating me. And I get that phone call that, like, everybody wants to get, and it's from Mark Drury,
Yeah.
And Mark's like, hey, buddy, can I talk to you for a second? I'm like, yeah, what's up? And that's it. I told him, it's like, hey, Mark, I promise you, I'm going to try to up my game next year. And this, and he brought up a good point. And this is why Drury's will always be so special in my heart. It's like, he said, listen, just keep being you. Don't try to hunt to someone else's standards. And he kind of put it in perspective that that's what we have to do. When you go out there, it's your hunt.
Yeah.
Stop thinking, well, hey, I've got to shoot this deer because the neighbors are going to be happy. Well, if you shoot a smaller deer and the neighbors are not happy, do you really care if the neighbors are not happy, or are you not happy?
Yeah,
it's different if you try to do some management and you and your neighbors are all working on the same thing, because then it becomes like a small little hunting club, a hunting family, you're into it.
Yeah.
But if you're out there and you're limited time and you're trying to do it, I mean, it's your hunt. Make it about your hunt. Make it about your family, those memories. And it's pretty much been a unbelievable, emotional roller coaster ride ever since. Living a dream, to be honest. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's an incredible story. I mean, I'd kind of looked into it a little bit, and I'd heard similar or parts of that, bits and pieces of that beforehand, and I knew it was an amazing story. That's awesome to hear the full part of that. That's awesome.
Well, and that's
it's pretty cool.
And I love what you say at the end of it, because so much of the hunting industry now, it's like people deer shaming each other. If you're happy with a deer and you're proud to wrap your tag around it, go for it. I mean,
absolutely.
It's going on your wall. It's going in your freezer, and it kills me to see people kill a deer, and they won't even post it on social media because they're afraid they'll get shamed, and that's bull crap. That's so stupid.
It drives me absolutely nuts. Like, social media is so good for networking, but yet is so bad. Everything's got good and bad, and social media can be so evil at times. The fact that, look how the world is going right now.
Yeah.
They are attacking our Second Amendment. They are attacking our hunting. They are attacking, and I hate to say, there's just something the other day, the anti-hunting community, and I'm a type of person, you could sit me in a room with anybody, anti-hunting, whatever, and when I leave, I want to make sure everybody's smiling. I'm going to try and make everybody laugh. I try to get along with everybody. But now there's this big drive they're pushing that, animals are people too, we need to be kept, and it's like, no, they're not. I mean, we've got to go back to the basics. No, they're not. I mean, we have canines in our mouth. God gave us to them for a reason.
Yeah.
They're not for chewing lettuce.
Exactly.
Okay? I mean, it's just, and when social media comes and we start smashing these younger hunters, whether you're 6 years old or 13, 14, 15 years old, and like, we need to be promoting that. Like, we've all been there. We have all shot, it's brown, it's down, and I was born and raised in New York. Half my family to this day out in New York. and I'm proud of it. They're still, if it's brown, it's down. I mean, they go out
Oh,
there,
yeah.
they're hunting for the meat, they're hunting for the memory.
Absolutely.
Why would you want to try to, because I'm here to tell you, the social media part of it, a lot of the people out there that are posting on social media and are knocking those people, man, you should have go ahead and let that deer gun. They're probably just like the rest of us. They're not these greatest hunters. Like, it's just, you know, you look at people that are constantly killing 160s, 170s, 180s. It's probably about 10% of your hunters out there.
Yeah,
Right.
or
So
less.
if we start smashing the other 90%, you fast forward 20 years from now, it doesn't look good for the hunting industry.
No,
Exactly.
not at
It don't
all.
look good for the hunting world. I mean, it's going to shut down hunting. We need hunters.
Well, and everyone needs to band together. I mean, not
Yeah.
everybody is hunting southern Iowa in places, and those are magical places where you have a chance at killing 170, 180-inch deer. But like us, we are in the mountains of North Carolina. If you kill a 150-inch deer up here, everyone 3 counties around is talking about you for 2 or 3 years. I mean,
I
just
was just going to say that. Not 2-3 months, years.
yeah, 2 or
Yes.
3 years.
You did something.
I killed a deer 3 years ago that scored 156. It was just a dumb fluke. A deer showed up at the right place at the right time. I didn't even know he was in the area. And I still have people stopping me that have heard about it and want to see pictures of it. I mean, it's just, it's a rare thing, and it's
Right.
not everybody has that opportunity. If you see a 120-inch deer, I mean, my redneck comes out. I see a 130-inch deer walk out. I don't care if I have a 170-inch deer on the property or 160. I've got enough redneck in me. I'm going to shoot at it. I'm going to sling something at it.
Right.
I'm filming hunts, and I'm here to tell you, when the 130 walks out, I'm already pulling back on the string.
You dang
That's
right.
right.
It's so, but you know, and that's what, you know, Drury's, they understand that, and a lot of the guys on the team are from so many different places in the United States, and they understand that, you know, and a lot of your bigger shows are starting to, that were really, you know, popular and out there. A lot of them still have the same things. You know, when I go to a lot of these trade shows, and some may be disappointed, but for the most part, you know, you'll see the younger hunters and stuff walk up to them, and that's the one thing that's still special about the hunting world. People are, you know, still there. Some of the big names are still trying to keep it together and pull it together.
Yeah.
It's the people out there that try to say, well, you know, I'll have people talk to me, and, you know, it's not that they're trying to impress us, but it's like, hey, listen, you know, I seen this deer, I passed it up, and I almost want to say, hey, bullcrap, you don't got to tell me, man. Like, you can come with me and hunt with me, and I'm going to let you kill that deer, because I'm going to too, you know? Like
Right.
We're not, the people that are on TV, a lot of us have every day, you know, 50, 60, 70-hour-a-week jobs. We're just blessed with this awesome opportunity to document our adventures in the field and share it with you guys. That's the majority. I mean, some of them truly make a career out of it, and I'm sure that's all of our dream one day, you know.
Right.
But for the most part, I mean, we're there just to represent, you know, the hunting community. So
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the reason I think that the fans of the Critical Mass show, they appreciate you so much, is because you do keep it real and you show it from a normal guy perspective, and it comes across through the television. People appreciate that.
Oh, yes. Big time.
yeah, well, I appreciate that too. I mean, that people are seeing that, and I mean, for as long as I'm filming, you're gonna see, you know, good shots. You're gonna see bad shots. You're gonna see mediocre shots, but you're gonna see everything that has to go with those shots.
Yep.
Right.
I mean, the following up, and it's realistic, and it's, you know, some people are, oh, I can't believe he missed there. I can't believe he messed up. It's like, well, man,
It's
if you go
live.
out there and it's a chip shot to you every time, why are you even hunting? Like,
Exactly.
find something else
Right.
that's a challenge to you.
Right.
You know? 'Cause-
Yeah, if you don't get excited doing this, you should be doing
No,
something else. I mean, I still get tore up over a doe.
So do I. I'll go out there and it's funny. And we do so much. I mean, some people, you know, ask that, you know, how does the camera get involved now from not having it? Yeah, it's a little different, but, you know, some of them are real close friends. If not, you know, my children or wife, like, we're filming each other, and it's like, I don't think, like, my children don't know. I don't know if they'll ever know what it's like to hunt by yourself,
Yeah.
because we are always together, and it could be a good thing and it could be a bad thing, but to me, I mean, you're sharing that moment in the stand with somebody. You know, the time goes by a little faster, and you just. But you know, while we're doing that, I could be sitting there and trying to go after one deer that I knew was in the area, and does are passing by, and I'll just look back at the camera, calm as can be. And then the next morning, I'll go out there with my son, and I'll say, hey, buddy, listen, we're going to shoot the first doe that comes in today. We're going to try to fill some of them tags, put some meat in the freezer. And now here comes a doe walking through, and I lose it. You swear I'm getting ready to kill a 170. Like you can see the tree branches, and I've actually had my son say, God, relax, calm down. Like, I just absolutely lose it.
Yeah.
But, there's no feeling out there like it.
Right. That's what it's all about.
That's
I feel like
exactly
that's one of the
right.
things a lot of people have been kind of upset with some of the big TV shows is they get their hopes up thinking, well, if my hunt don't go like that, or if I go out and if I don't see 10 deer in one set, they get upset about it. And that's what one of the things we were trying to show people as well as you are. That's the real part of it. Sometimes you won't see a deer, period. Get excited when you see a doe come out.
Exactly.
Let your feelings run. I mean, it's exciting. Everything about it. If you're not excited about a doe or seeing any game, that is. I mean, we were out. Get excited about it.
People like, and I know that, and I was the same. Like when you watch it, you got a 30-minute episode you're watching, and by the time they throw the commercials and everything else in there, you probably got about 14, 15 minutes of hunting. So you see all these great encounters and stuff, but what they're not saying, and this is really, going back to try to actually, defend the people that are hunting on TV and the shows is, you look at somebody that, okay, man, I seen that guy hunt last year, man, he killed 3 absolute giants, and you watch both of his shows, and all of a sudden, in that 15 minutes that you're watching, you've seen 40, 50 different deer.
Yeah.
But what you may not be knowing is, okay, he's showing his adventure that week or that month in Kansas or whatever, and that one day he has 5 or 6 deer, and they're pre-rolling that, and they're showing it moving through. But what they're not showing, because there's not time for it, is the 4 or 5 days straight where it was bad weather, or where the movement was low, or something just wasn't, where, these guys are putting from sun up to sundown, they go back, they work a week. Or work 2-3 weeks back home. Then they take a week off and they're back in the woods, and, they might have put hours and hours in the stand, and they're putting almost, if you look at 3 successful hunts for a hunter that's filming for the outdoor industry, you're looking at 4 months of hunting every chance they can get for 3 kills.
Yeah.
It's, what they're not seeing is that they just didn't, granted there are places where are magical, I've been to those places and filmed at them, and you're there, and it's, you get the nights where you may see, 15, 20 deer and maybe 2 or 3 shooters, and those are the same places I may go back to every year, and we'll talk about, hey man, do you remember in 2017, that one night when we had, oh man, that was awesome, that was those days aren't, and that's why they use that footage to kind of show the viewers at home, hey, this is a magical moment, It's not something, when you're hunting fair chase and it's not fenced in, that's how it is. I mean, it's not an everyday thing, but but when you see the TV show, you're like, my gosh, man, like I'm doing something wrong, when I get out there.
Yeah.
But, so.
Well, I'm glad you was able to hit on that, because that was one of the things we've talked about a lot is how people see that and they don't realize they're going through the same thing. It's just how it's all put together.
Yeah.
It puts people in a bad place as far as thoughts go about it.
Yeah.
They get downhearted about it. And that's one thing I feel like we need to get together.
My son Cole, it's everybody's watched him so much on TV in the last few years, and all these good deer he's killing. And this year will come and go, and no one will think about it. And hopefully, this upcoming season, he's able to, put a few decent deer down for himself. And if you fast forward 5 years, it'll look like, hey man, this guy's always killing. This little kid's always killing big deer. But now, it's not exactly how it goes down, because if you look at this year coming up, which should be coming out in July, there'll be a lot of cool encounters with my son Cole and things he's done.
Yeah.
But actual harvests, he harvests 2 does the entire season.
Yeah.
But we went. There's times that he took off his whole Christmas break, at home, trying to get it done. I mean, the kids are out of school for 7-8 days, and it's every evening after I get off work, I'm taking them out. So that's almost 2 weeks when we probably might have seen 7-8 deer in 2 weeks. Then you go to the early season, youth season. He never had a chance here. He was trying to get it done with the bow in Indiana, but then he's allowed. With school, we let him go ahead and take 1 week off a year, where you could pick it for turkey or you can pick it for deer, where he can go with me someplace and hunt. And he usually picks the deer hunting. But this year, we went out of state for a week and a half. We timed it right with the way school was. And we might have seen 3 or 4 deer. Never had the opportunity. But you're not, that's something that doesn't make the show. And but you look at it like what he actually did to get to that point.
Right.
There's a lot of time in the stand.
That's it. That's exactly right.
Well, let's switch gears just a little bit. Few things you were talking about going out of state and stuff, just kind of things I'm curious about. What is your favorite area to hunt of all the places that you've got to hunt? What is your favorite state to hunt?
Oh, I don't know. That's a close one. I to actually hunt, I filmed in some amazing places, but you start getting down south, and Oklahoma and Texas are such a target-rich environment.
Yeah,
and it would be between that and Nebraska, because when I go to Nebraska, it may not be as target-free as it is in Oklahoma or Texas, but the deer up there, to me, act more like the deer where I'm from in Indiana act, but just more of them. Like the rut is so intense. Like you actually see some sparring and the scrape activity, and in Nebraska you've got those big shouldered, big neck, Midwestern bucks. And my buddy Lowell has a couple places out there that he leases, and I go in on them, and I've hunted there 5-6 years now, and I've only harvested 2 years, and it's one of those places I look forward to going back there every year. I've been, and here me and my wife, we own a little farm down in Southern Illinois, which is a great place to hunt. We've harvested some great deer there over the last 15-20 years, but there's just something special about Nebraska to me. I don't know.
That's interesting you say that, because I've been doing a lot of research into Nebraska, and I have some friends that go up there and hunt public ground and have great success up there. It's kind of one of those states that everybody kind of overlooks. And
because you're automatically thinking, Texas, Kansas, Iowa, Illinois. You're not thinking of Nebraska, but Nebraska's got some slammers.
They've got some big monsters.
Midwestern corn-fed deer.
Yeah, absolutely. That's interesting that you say that. That's awesome. All right, I think the next thing we want to get into, Sean, just kind of go with us, if you can, how you did last season. How did your turkey season, how did your deer season go last year?
I guess we'll start with the turkey season. Well, turkey season went great. I mean, we were able to harvest a few birds in the state of Illinois over on our little piece of ground we have there. Now we came back home to Indiana. We went to a few other places and were able to punch some tags. And Indiana was special because it's, when I get back to our home state, it's one of those, it's trying to get everybody in the family, son, daughters, wife, everybody get their tags filled. And the kids all got a rule, including the wife. I don't get to even get behind the gun until all their tags are filled. So it's like down to the grind. I mean, my wife literally harvested her bird. I believe it was on the last day this year, on Mother's Day morning, where we were at. It was snowing. But, it's been a grind. We put a lot. I would probably say, if you measure success on the birds you've harvested this year, this would have been one of our top years. But if you measured on the grind as far as turkey season goes and how much going into it, because there's sometimes, you go out there and you can make the worst calls in the world and do everything wrong, and sometimes they just come charging in.
Right.
And then this year it's like we tried to do everything right, and it was either they pitched down the wrong way, or they were hemmed up, or it was just we had to make a move and another move and another move. But we were able to get it all done and get everybody's tags punched. My son Cole, he was actually able to harvest his first deer, or not first deer, his first turkey ever with the bow, which to this day I still have not done. When he punched his tag in Illinois this year, we doubled up in Illinois, and he said, when we go back to Indiana, he said, hey, it's, I'm just I don't care. I got a bird that was awesome. I'll film you, but I'm gonna kill my Indiana bird with a bow. And I'm like, well, that's fine. I mean, you want to maybe try to use a crossbow, or how about we'll try opening weekend or youth weekend, and if that don't work, then we'll use the gun. And he's like, no, I'm just gonna do it with the bow. And he got out there, even though, on his second, third day, and we had 4 of them come in, and he's back. There's actually a little clip I put of the second angle footage on Instagram. I mean, it seemed like he was drawn back forever, and he just so, I mean, he loses it after the shot goes off. I lose it more than he does when I know the hit was good. But, I mean, he just pulls back so smooth, and he holds it there like a rock star. And I'm like, I don't know if I could do that when I was 12 years old. But
yeah, that's awesome.
It was definitely a pretty special for turkey season. And as far as the deer season goes, that was a struggle. But a lot of it was because this timing with work and getting off, and when we did get off, the weather shifted or changed. I mean, there was times where Oklahoma is usually an awesome state for us early season, and it was just anywhere from 95 to 101, 102 degrees, windy as can be. So we struggled there the first week we went down there, but we were able to get it done. Hopefully, my son, like I said, he was able to harvest a few does. I shot a respectful deer in Nebraska with the bow. I was able in Oklahoma. I was able to get another one with the Matthews, and then able to punch another Oklahoma tag with the Winchester. So, overall, awesome. It was a successful season. I mean, this year we're going to try a few different things. I mean, we're still going to head to Nebraska and have Illinois and stuff, but I'm going to venture out to a friend of mine out in New York, where I'm originally from. He's got a place that he invited me on over in Kansas. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Oh, I guarantee it.
It's going to be new hunting, because we were out there for turkey season this year, and it was just when you look, you're like, man, there's no way. How can there be these big deer around here? You can watch your dog run away for 4 days. It's just, you can literally, it's just there's no end. But there's just these little draws, and even turkey hunting was different. You might have places where it's 4,000 or 5,000 acres, not a turkey around, and then all of a sudden you dip down the next country road and you come up, and there's just a little river bottom with some trees on it and some woods, and it may hold 100, 150 turkeys.
Yeah.
But now you go to the next tracks that's 500-600 yards away, and the neighbors, they've never seen a turkey.
Yeah.
It's very different hunting out there, but those are the ones that when you start hunting somewhere new, you really don't be afraid you've got to listen to the people that you're out there hunting with, because it is a different strategy. It's, I'm originally hunting New York, and if you go into the Catskills and the Adirondack Mountains, it's probably a lot like, where you guys hunt. I mean, it's hard country. You're sitting on a rock, at times they would do deer drives. You're just waiting to, when you filled your tag, I mean, you did something. You weren't looking for 130, 140 inch deer. I mean, if someone shot, a 90 to a 105 inch deer up there, it stayed on the roof of your car driving home, and every neighbor in the world came over to look for it, So,
yeah. Right.
But I'll tell you what, you take hunters where you're from, and you take hunters where I'm originally from in New York, and how hard you guys hunt and what you have to do to try to get out there and punch those tags, and you bring you guys out in the Midwest, believe it or not, you guys would just eat it up. It's just, a lot of people, it's, how hunters out in the Midwest are much better because, I mean, look at the guys on the East Coast. They're not killing with a lot of it is they don't have the opportunities. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and they don't have the way it's set up. It's when I came out here, I was telling my buddies, and that's how I really grew to be a different hunter, because the first year I'd come out here, I'm like, all right, I get 1 buck tag and 3 doe tags. And I just went out in the tree, and I'm like, all right, first buck walked by, and it might have been a, 80, 85 inch deer. I'm like, man, that's a stud deer for me. I shoot the deer, and I shoot the doe, and go out the weekend later. I'm like, I'm out of tags. And I call my friends from New York. I'm like, man, I'm tagged out. I killed 4 deer. They're like, yeah, whatever, man. You haven't killed 4 deer in the last 10 years in New York. How did you do it? But it's just, and that's when I learned, okay, I can wait a little bit, and try to, let's wait and pass a couple deer up. But definitely different atmosphere. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. We're in the process of trying to get some hunts lined up in the Midwest. I'm going to Illinois this year. Got my 4th preference point for Iowa today.
Oh, good.
So we're trying to get out there. We're doing
That's
everything we can to get out that way. I mean, it's just a whole different ball game when you start hunting places like that.
What part of Illinois are you going to?
I am going to around the town of Lomax, Illinois. It's right across the river from Iowa.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you're up. It'd be more like West Central.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Very, very good hunting up there. Like extremely good.
I'm excited. I mean, I'm very excited. The guy that I'm going with, he seems like a stand-up guy. We sell tractors here as well as hunting and rifles and all that stuff. And our bush hog rep for Bush Hog brand implements, he
Really?
turned me on to this guy. And he's been hunting with this guy for a couple of years, and he gave me his contact information. So that's how I got set up with that. But I'm excited.
good deal.
I'm very excited.
See, if I would have had a bush hog, I wouldn't have used the white zero turn today.
Yeah.
I'm not bringing it up, though. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, it could have kept you out of some hot water.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, but
Well,
hey,
you can.
that mower's reinforced now. There's no way that bad boy's going to break again.
There you go.
Exactly,
My
so-
had some extra steel to the front end.
Yeah, all you were doing was product testing and making it better for
That's
her
it.
so she'll stay safe.
Yeah, she needs to understand that this thing is a multi-tool now. I mean, it does yard work, and I mean, I can probably cut corn silage with it. This thing's
There
so
you go.
There
real,
you
so-
go.
Well, I mean, if your food plots aren't manicured like your lawn, you're doing something wrong anyway.
That's
so
right.
there you go.
Yeah, so
Well, speaking of food plots, we're starting deer prep right now. We've got our beans and stuff in the ground. What kind of stuff do you get into as far as just your early season or your preseason prep routines and stuff?
A lot of it goes by different parts in the states, and now you guys are from where you guys are, North Carolina,
Yes, sir.
or so you're probably down in that area. You guys aren't too far off from where you are. I mean, you guys are probably able to get your crops in the ground a little bit faster than us because of the warm temperatures. But this time of the year, I mean, I've been doing it enough years now, and I've learned a lot. Like, I'm keeping the clover in check. Getting, whatever beans and corn I got to get in the ground, planting all my buffers. And a lot of my buffers I'll mix like a Egyptian wheat, and I actually mix the corn in with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it builds, it's just kind of like a screen. And on the other side of those will be my, annual plots that I'll be putting in last week of July, first week of August.
Now, when you do these buffers, are you putting them in between, like, areas with roads where you can't see in, or just areas where...
Some roads, but some of them are just, might be little places back in the woods, and I might be having a blind in one place, and if I'm coming in from the backside, it's going to screen me coming in, or something that's going to screen me walking out.
I got you.
And then what I also do for the buffers is, if you've got a plot that, especially for archery hunting, that's, I don't know, it might be, I mean, I'm the type of person, don't get me wrong, I mean, everybody likes to practice and be able to shoot, 30, 40 yards. You guys see how worked up I get on TV in a tree. Like, I mess up on 17 yards. Like, I try to keep them deer, undetected as possible, but, try to get that 20, 25-yard shot. So in some of my food plots, I will plant, I'll till up an area, and I'll plant the Egyptian wheat and the corn. I actually just broadcast it. I broadcast it right in. I roll it with the Packer Max right over the top of it, which actually somewhat makes it come up like in rows, because when them grooves go in, they kind of fall into there.
Yeah.
But it grows so thick when you put that Egyptian wheat in with the corn that 99% of the time, deer will not walk through it.
Gotcha.
Which some people look at like, well, that ain't good. They're not there in the plot. But what I'll do is I'll start that at the corner of the plot, and say you have a plot that's 80 yards wide. When you're in a tree stand, you can see right over that buffer, no problem. So you can see the whole plot. But when the deer come out and they start working their way out in front of you, if you got to see a deer but you can't harvest it, I mean, what good is your setup?
Yeah.
So I will actually say, okay, I want these deer. I may start at the top end of the plot. I'll bring the strip right down, and it almost acts like a barrier. So when they come out, now if they walk to the right side of it, they got plenty of clover or plenty of radishes, whatever they have over there they're eating. But in the center, I will, when this stuff's probably about a foot tall, I'll go ahead and not bush hog. I'll use, now that I got this awesome mower reinforced, I'll just mow a strip right to the center of that, and it stops growing.
Yeah.
Because you actually cut it down.
Yeah.
So when they come down in that, now they're kind of forced to stay within shooting range of you.
I got you.
So I mean, it's almost like putting up a fence. But the good thing about it is they're eating off this fence. Sometimes I'll even mix like cowpeas or beans in with it, and it grows up and it keeps all the corn and everything together. But them deer will come and they'll just browse right off that.
Yeah.
Now, as the snow comes, I don't know if you guys get much, but by us, when the snow comes, they'll start to knock that down.
Yeah.
And as it knocks it down, then the deer know it. They come right back in there. And some of the states I'm in, you can bush hog your corn. Like, so you just, mow it. Some of the states you can't. But, nevertheless, you still have food that's up there, but it's still acting for a barrier. So you can actually, it helps for access in and out. So I'm planting a lot of them now, which work good. But then what I'm also doing is my plots that were planted into radishes and turnips and stuff like that, and whatever biologic I'm sticking in the ground, they don't go into June and July.
Yeah.
Or, the end of July, beginning of August. Well, you don't want to go out there, and I've done it before. It's like, hey, I'm going to go work that plot. All right, I'll do it next weekend. I'll till it up, plant it, and you get out there, and it's an entire summer of growing. I mean, you've got weeds and saplings head high.
Yeah.
You got to go ahead. You can't just bush hog that and plant because all that stuff's on the ground.
Yeah.
You can't just disc. So what I do is I get in there now with chemicals. And for instance, I just did that a couple weeks ago, and I burnt them plots. Then I went in this weekend and I checked them, and they're pretty much burnt now. So I'll go back in, and I may go back in a month and just hit it again and keep them burnt down with chemicals, or I may go back in and just add my lime or just extra fertilizer and then just work it into the ground. Basically keeping that stuff worked.
Yeah.
Because planting is also, especially when you're working class guys like us, you can't sit home and say, I'll decide what day to plant this week. You may only have 1 or 2 days, and as soon as the weather's right, you've got to get in there.
Yep.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I like to have them ready, so when it comes time, heck, next weekend looks like a good day, I don't have to do nothing but go out there, work the ground, seed it, roll it, and I'm out of there.
Yeah. Yeah, that, like you say, maintenance is everything. It makes it where you're not fighting the weeds and fighting everything. It's just, we deal with the same thing. We've got a lease about 3 hours from here, and it's the same thing. Like you say, you've got a scheduled weekend where you can go down there, and whether it's sunny, raining, or whatever, it may be the only time you can get there.
Yep.
And if you've done a little bit of prep work and done a little bit of maintenance over the summer, like you say, it makes it so much easier.
Oh yeah, I'd rather do a little bit here or there, and then it kind of sounds goofy, but just getting in the house tonight and knowing that I do have that plot mode. When I was out there today, all the other plots are still burnt down. They look good. They're to the ground. Like, now I'm thinking, man, I've really got nothing more to do besides maintain the trails and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And start running cameras and seeing what's happening this summer.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But when just wait. I'm just waiting for what traditionally the food plot, now's a lot of your row crops and grains, but, food plot season, it is all summer. But I want to try and make ready when the majority of the food plots go in, and that's at the end of the summer, your fall plots that are mostly going to be your green plots. Those are the ones that you're going to be harvesting a lot of your deer off of early season, right up about till it really starts getting cold. Then that's when those deer will switch to those row crops that you're putting in now, the corn and beans.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have a specific food plot mixture that is kind of your go-to or your favorite, or do you just plant depending on the area?
We use a lot of different stuff from biologic, but if like 2 plots that I had to come, if there's only that you got a farm and you only can pick seeds, I'd go with their biologic clover because one, it keeps it in there for a while, or I'd go with their deer radishes. The deer radishes is sometimes when you plant turnips and stuff like that, not all of it, but a lot of times the deer usually don't mess with the turnips or the greens until you get that first frost.
Yeah.
And then the sugars go into it and they start hitting the tops. And then come late winter, they start ripping the bulbs out of the ground.
Yeah.
Well, those deer radishes, they're basically look like they're like huge yellow, white looking. A lot of them call them like tillage radishes. And they break the ground up. But when those big green lettuce looking stuff, like the heads of them are on it, as soon as they start coming up, deer, it's one of the only ones out there, it doesn't have to frost. They are pounding that in September and October.
Yeah.
Like absolutely annihilating it. And then they're eating the bulbs throughout the rest of the year. So
That's awesome. Yeah.
it's fairly new. Some of them call it deer. I mean, they're also, it's like a daikon radish, but Biologic has got it. It's just called their deer radishes. I've been at some places where I've planted them. I've been at some places where I planted it for friends around here, and I'll plant it 1 year, and it's like they just tear them up like there's nothing. But I have had some people that no matter where you're at and what you plant, you can even plant clover, and if they've never seen it before, the deer in the area, sometimes they just pick it or whatever for a year. Then when that late season comes and it's February and there's nothing left, they annihilate it.
Yeah.
Well, the following year when you plant it again, you better double the size you planted, because now that they know what it is, then they just absolutely just hammer it until there's nothing left.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we actually had that exact situation happen on our lease in South Carolina. The landowner's son planted some radishes and turnips one year, and they didn't touch them until, like you say, late winter. And then the next year we went in and planted a bunch of them, and they just destroyed them. I mean, and we absolutely tore the deer up on those plots, just like you said, because they were familiar with it at that point.
Yep.
Yeah, they know where it is. They know that's an area that's going to have food. And that's the other secret to it. Like, you start pulling those deer, and they start realizing there's food over there, and it's something that's palatable and digestible. You almost create more work for yourself, because now the deer in the area, they know that. You've got to have it there for them every year now, because if you don't, when they come looking for it, they're going to go somewhere else.
Absolutely.
Yep. Well, man, I've learned a ton here in the last few minutes. I've just been quiet, just listening. Just because I've learned a ton right there for the last little bit. But we've kept you here just about all night. It seems like we've kept you here for a little while.
No, that's the one thing. Like I know, I just love. I told my wife, like, we're literally a family of 7. We've got 5 kids, 1 boy and 4 girls. So, like, everybody wants to kind of have their own little man cave and this and that, but, like, my entire house has just turned into, like, a big she cave. Like, it's just me and my son. So we're trying to get ourselves build something little outside, and it's basically just for, like, I mean, a lot of time the buddies will come over and we'll just be sitting on the porch, and when it's the bad weather, man, I get out there, I talk hunting all night. I said, now I'm going to have a place. I can go ahead, relax, get in there. If it's in the evenings, guys can come over, have a cold beer, and just talk hunting. I mean, that's just, I can do it all night long.
That's it. That's why we done this podcast, because we can sit and talk about it all day long.
Yeah, absolutely.
We never get tired of it. But, man, we really, really, really appreciate you coming on tonight and doing this podcast with us. We could not be more excited than what we are to have you on. One thing real quick, the last thing I'll aggravate you about. We got to get you up here for a bear, or get you down here rather for a bear hunt this year, if we can.
I know we talked about that. Was it last year?
Yeah, that was back last year.
And you guys hunt them with the dogs, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, we got to make that work. And I'm not saying a few years from now. I mean, it may still possibly work this season. I mean, we're just going to have to stay in touch, make it happen, because I think that'd be a great thing to document, how you guys do it out there. It's definitely something that I don't know that too many people have seen.
No.
We hear about it, we see pictures of it, but it's not something that too many people have filmed on, how it's not like, where you guys are at, it's not like in Canada where you can just bait and you wait and they come out. I mean, you guys are out there as houndsmen, I mean, looking for these bears and actually pursuing them, and just, and it's neat.
And it's in your face hunting. It's exciting. A lot of our guys, they don't like to harvest an animal unless they're basically touching it with the end of the barrel. They get right in their face.
It's as humane as it can possibly be.
I mean, it's a whole different ball game.
Oh, yes.
And if the trail camera pictures we're getting so far are any indication of how bear season's going to be this year, it's going to be a banner year. Because, I mean, we are up with bear this year. It's insane.
Oh, yes.
Unreal. I may have to get down there and make a quick trip and see if we can make it happen.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, it may not be this year. The best time you could ever plan to come to bear hunt with us would be, opening, the first opening couple of days.
Yeah, in October, opening a bear season. I mean, the bears haven't been run. The dogs are fresh, and everybody's raring to go. And, I mean, It's insane. It's crazy.
That
They'll
opening week is the best week of bear season that you'll have all year long.
all year long.
Every
hands
day
down.
you'll get one or more bear a day.
Well, and you don't have to worry. It's not gotten cold yet, so you don't have to worry about the bear being denned up yet. They're not trying to. Our bear don't really hibernate. It doesn't get that cold here, but they do go into dens and just go into where they'll only come out for an hour or two a day to get a little bit of food and then just go back and lay down again.
Yep.
And that late season, you have to worry about bear being denned up and stuff. That early season, they're still out. They're picking berries. They're eating acorns and stuff. And it makes it for a target-rich environment. Like you said, it makes a lot of opportunity there.
Oh, yes. And that's one thing. We don't have huge deer here, but we have some awesome bear.
Yeah, we
And
got
it's
some
very
big old
plentiful,
bear.
Very good population.
Oh, I know.
Here.
I'm definitely going to be taking you guys up on that opportunity one of these years, and it may be this year. And is it beginning October, end of October? How is
Well,
that?
we've got 2 seasons. You've got the first season, which is technically the early season. It runs from like mid-October or early October.
Yeah, it's
into
mid-October.
The very 1st of November. Then you've got another break. It turns back into deer season. And then you've got that last season, which is like December.
It's
That's
usually
closer
around
to
the
January.
Yeah, it's usually the second season's usually December 12th, 13th, 14th, somewhere in that area to January 1st. But that first bear season is right around the middle of October. It's 2 weeks before Halloween, something like that. It's something where
it's open for like a month. I think.
You're kind of during your October lull period as far as the Midwest rut cycle goes. It's right in that period. It's right before the deer that you're hunting will start their pre-rut stuff. It's probably a week or 2 weeks before that. So
Yeah. Hopefully one of these times we can get it lined up to where it'll hit it just perfect for you.
Yeah.
Hopefully this year, you never know, but we're really looking forward to having you come down and be able to experience that, because that's something. There's nothing else like it.
No, there's nothing like it. It's an
I
adrenaline
watched
rush.
some of the clips you guys posted, and it just looks like an absolute blast. So.
It's crazy. It's very hard to document. I will give you that warning before. It's hard to get a camera in there, and you have to be in shape. I mean, some of the guys that we hunt with, they'll take off just sprinting, and they're gone.
Yeah.
There's
the problem I have. I'm about 5'3". Pretty well overweight, and that's my problem. And there's some of our episodes you'll see, I'll pick the camera up, and the guys that's with the dogs are a mile and a half ahead of him. Like, well, they're gone, and I'm way back here trying to film. I'm out of breath. I'm breathing heavy. I might catch them before they get to it. It's fun, though. It is
a lot of fun.
Oh, I bet.
But, yeah, man, we really do appreciate it.
We really do, Sean. We appreciate you getting on with us tonight.
Absolutely. We'll definitely have to do it again, and we'll definitely have to talk about getting down there and chasing some bears. So.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
well,
sir.
Best of luck this season. If we don't get to talk to you before season starts, best of luck to you. We look forward to seeing you on Critical Mass again. We're rooting for you.
Oh, yeah.
And like I say, we really appreciate you getting on with us tonight, and hopefully we can speak with you again soon.
Absolutely. Stay in touch. You got it, guys.
Yes, sir. All right, Sean. Thanks, man.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
All right. Well, that was awesome.
That was great, guys. That was Sean Lundy from Drury Outdoors, and
What do you say?
the guy's sharp. I don't know what to say after that.
I was so quiet sitting there just trying to listen. I was just taking it in, just listening to everything you had to say about it.
Anybody in that organization, I mean, they're
Yes.
known for their food plot strategies. They know how to kill big deer, and like he was talking about with the screening, it's just stuff that you hear about, but it's awesome to hear it come straight out of his mouth.
But real quick, let's take a break real quick. We're actually real close on our recording time. We're going to hit our first, our should be our only break, and we'll be right back.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
This segment of the Back 40 Skull Sessions podcast is brought to you by Bone Collector Game Calls, the official game calls of the Appalachian Holler Hunters. Whether it's locator calls, turkey calls, or deer calls, you can find all your calls at bonecollector.com. Proudly made in USA.
Man, I was going down the road. You see all them turkeys down there at Farmer Johnson's place?
Nah, man, I didn't see him.
Man, there was at least 20 or 30 of them out there strutting around this morning.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. We need to get on them.
Well, that's right, we do. But the thing is, he won't let nobody hunt that place there.
Man, that ain't no problem. We can get on the Onyx Hunt app. We can find who owns the properties around them, get permission to go hunt them, and get after them.
Really? If I'd have known that, I'd have been on birds all over the county last year.
Yeah, man, you can mark waypoints. You can see topo maps, and you can see neighboring parcels, so you can hunt all around him. So if you got that stubborn landowner that won't let you on it, find out who owns the property beside him and go hunt.
Well, if that's the case, I'm going to download that thing right now.
Download it, man, and get started.
This segment of the Back 40 Skull Sessions podcast is brought to you by Mountaineer Outfitters, the official outfitters of Appalachian Holler Hunters. Visit them online on Facebook or Instagram, or visit them in person at 65 Haynes Road in Newland, North Carolina. Open 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, 8 to 12 on Saturdays. Stop by and see them today for all your hunting and shooting sport needs.
Here in the Appalachian Mountains, we are subject to some of the most drastic climate changes anywhere in the country. Whether it's hotter than blue blazes in the summertime or colder than a froze-toed rooster in the wintertime, Carhartt has you covered from head to toe. Visit Carhartt.com and see why they are the official apparel company of the Appalachian Holler Hunters. All right, guys, welcome back from the break. You are with the Back 40 Skull Sessions podcast, and we're a little tore up. I mean, that was awesome.
We're kind of
a little speechless there.
Yeah, it's something we've been planning for months, honestly.
Yeah, it's been a while. We've been talking with Sean, and he's been trying to get on here with us, and we finally were able to get him on here, and it lived up to everything we'd hoped for.
Yeah, it was one of those things where you can sit and think, and we'll put it this way. We started out this morning thinking it would happen sometime during the day, and all his stuff with his mower incident and all that, we ended up waiting, and I had all this time to think of these things I wanted to say and ask, and then we get to talking, and it's just everything just flows, and you hear all just get to listen to these guys.
Yeah,
and hearing their thoughts on this stuff.
Yeah,
it's just
it's
a thing that's on.
You see people on TV, and you don't really know what you're going to think of them when you get to talk to them over the phone or in person, and it's just they're just like us. They're just hardworking, normal country people, and it's just awesome to get to speak with them and
that's it.
Get to experience that firsthand.
It is. It really, really is.
On a side note, I mean, it did take us all day, but it gave me a chance to give Christian some fishing lessons today. So
hey,
we can get into that real quick. We got a little bit of time.
Look, we're gonna start this off. First off, I got cheated. I got cheated.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, son.
Being in NASCAR and stuff, I can agree with that. But I got cheated.
You got tripled on numbers, and probably quadrupled on what.
So we go fishing today. We're killing time. It's me, Shane, and then we got Parker with us.
He's killing time. I'm catching monsters.
Look,
I mean, I come to win this thing.
No, we were like, let's go fishing for a little while. And I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna go relax, have a good time, and then next thing you know, it's full blown competition, and
yeah, it turned into Bassmaster Elite Series tournament real fast. Well, I mean, it did for me. It turned into Christian watching a Bassmaster Elite Series tournament, but
look, okay. I'm trying to think of excuses I can come up with
there
other
than
the fact that I was stressed, hoping this all would work out.
You were using the same bait I was.
Not every time. So where we're fishing this is how it started. This is what determined this whole thing. All right, guys, this is Shane talking. All right, we're here. I'm gonna go up the left side. You go up the right side. It hadn't been fished. Take after it.
It hadn't been fished. The right side had not been fished, and you didn't get to the good part. But the reason I was going up the left side is I had my 6-year-old daughter with us. I had Parker with us, and I fully intended on not doing hardly any fishing and letting her go. And then from the right side, I hear 1-0. And then a few minutes, and I'm baiting Parker's hook, and I'm trying to teach her how to finesse fish. She knows how to trout fish. We're working on the bass fishing, and I hear 2-0, and then Parker 3-0, and I look over, and Parker's like, I think I'm gonna go fish with Christian. I said, all right.
I was off to a good start.
You both gonna learn today. We're gonna make this happen now. And then it went to 1-3, and 2-3.
Home
3-3.
I've been living way off the mountain for way too long.
10-3.
You knew what was going on.
15-3. It got ugly.
Hey, I got close. I got back to 7 that first round.
Yeah, and I had 15 or 16, so I just doubled you.
That's whatever.
And then the second round, it was more of the same.
Basically.
He finally started catching up after I quit and put my rod down.
No.
I had fish sitting at the bank like, we'll jump up and be on your team if you'll.
I said, look, I see where you're at. I'm going up the left side this time. Mm-hmm. And kept it pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, I doubled you, but
it's whatever.
I mean, it is what it is.
It's whatever.
All right, guys.
Just once. Let's go back to trout fishing.
Back to trout fishing. We want to announce on this podcast, because hopefully this will reach a lot more people. We have a local group in the county called the High Country Sportsman's Coalition. Great group of men, group of hunters, and they like to do stuff for the children in the area to try to get them outside. They are having their 24th annual Kids Fishing Day here at Mountaineer Outfitters, Mountaineer Equipment Company in Pinola. It is on June the 19th. It will start at 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Kids 17 and under are welcome to fish. It is 100% free. The kids will have lunch provided for them. If they need fishing tackle or anything else, they will provide all that stuff for them.
Yep.
This is the event that actually got you excited about being in the outdoors.
Yeah, this is the event that I've talked about so many times coming to as a kid. Honestly, it was the only outdoor event that I ever knew of as a kid.
Well, it was basically the only thing around here.
Right. It was the only thing there was. It's the place where I fished, and I caught a good one, and I got one a pocket knife. And that's what got me so tore up that I really liked it and wanted to help get kids involved.
Yeah.
And do this from the Appalachian Holler Hunter side of things. And that's why we done our youth turkey hunt this year.
Yeah.
And we got a lot more stuff coming,
Well, and they've been doing this event way before we were able to own this property. My family owns the farm that adjoins it, and me and my buddies would camp up here on the hill just across the property line. So we would be the first people down at the pond in the morning so we'd get our spot.
That's awesome.
I used to have 3 or 4 buddies. We'd camp out up here on top of the hill. As soon as it started cracking daylight, we were down here and already had our stuff laid out. So we'd get
awesome.
It's been going that long, though.
Yeah, it's been going forever.
That's incredible that it's been going that long.
It is. It's awesome. I'm looking forward to it. We get luckily we got to speak to them, and we're going to be fortunate enough they're going to let us help come.
We're going to do some videoing. We're going to do some drone shots and some other stuff. So we're going to get a lot of awesome footage, but it really is just a great day to have the kids out. It's Father's Day weekend. Dads, get your kids out. They're the reasons you get to celebrate Father's Day anyway. So get them out, take them fishing, have a good time. Come eat some food. They're doing gun raffles. They'll be raffling all kinds of other stuff off for the parents, and it's just a good time to get out and socialize. Everybody's been cooped up for a year and a half, and you can get out here. We've got plenty of room to social distance. You can not be close to anybody if you're worried about that stuff.
Big pond, really big.
Big pond.
Plenty of room.
There's plenty of room,
and it's freshly stocked.
And there are some monsters. We saw a couple of them today while we were just out messing around. The edges of the pond. We saw one fish that conservatively, Christian about had a heart attack.
We were just kind of strolling through and walking. I looked over. I'm like, oh my gosh.
It was 30 inches plus.
That's a 3-foot fish.
We saw a couple that were 30 inches plus, and they were just huge trout.
Yes, huge.
Probably 8 or 9 pound trout. Huge trout.
Yes.
And I don't know if those fish have been in here because I haven't spent that much time around that pond this spring, but they're huge. Yeah,
they're definitely huge, and not only that, there's a ton of fish in general. You look out here at this pond any time of day. Time it 1 minute, you're going to see anywhere from 10 to 15 fish jump.
Yeah, the coalition put in 1,000 pounds of trout, and before the 19th, the wildlife's supposed to put in 500 more pounds. That's a lot of fish. 1,500 pounds of fish. Of course, a lot of them were 4 to 5 pounds is what they said, what they stocked, and apparently there's some. It's like Dad said, Big Willie that they put in 15 years ago. He may still be alive.
Yeah.
I told Dad, I was like, the pond has drained 3 times. He said, yeah, but legends never die. Big Willie may still be in there. I got that one we saw today was Big Willie for sure.
Man, it's everything I could do not to want to go catch it.
Not to want to jump in the pond. You jump in that thing and eat your leg.
It probably would. That was a big old fish. It had me tore up. I couldn't talk. I was tore up from the floor up. But it's going to be a great event.
It's going to be a great event. Get your kids, get out there, come fishing, have a good time. And once again, we say this after every podcast. Can't say it enough. We want to thank all our sponsors, all the people that support us. Would love to thank Sean Lundy for getting on here and helping us out with this. That was one of the most interesting conversations I've had in a long time.
This is one of our best podcasts we've had. One of the most interesting podcasts.
For sure. But guys, if you haven't already done so, get on wherever you're listening to your podcast, whether it be YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Like them, subscribe, hit that bell for the notifications. Go on to our YouTube channel, subscribe on YouTube, watch some of our shows, and we will be putting up more shows coming in the next week or so. So we've got a lot of things coming down the pipe right now.
Oh yeah, like we mentioned in our last podcast, we've got a lot of stuff planned. It's just going to keep getting better and better.
We're going to be hitting you from more areas. We're going to have more places to watch. So, But if you don't mind, get on, like, subscribe, give us a rating, write us a review, and just let us know what you think. If you have anything you want us to talk about, get on our social pages. Tell us what you want us to talk about. We'll see if we can get some more guests on here. We're going to keep pushing this thing as far as we can push it. So.
That's it. We're going to see how far we can get with it. Something started out for fun has already went way further than I thought it ever would. So
yeah, and we're really excited about it. We're going to be on a consistent basis from here on out. We should be able to hit every week, if not every other week. So we're going to be coming at you with some interesting stuff this summer.
Oh, yeah. Stay tuned. It's going to be great.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, guys, for tuning in, and you've been listening to the Back 40 Skull Sessions podcast.
Well, they sure as hell know me. In that mad downtown, 65 southbound in the middle of Tennessee. Yeah, I left black marks on every turn, too sharp like Boduke and General Lee.
This segment of the Back 40 Skull Sessions podcast is brought to you by Realtree, the official camo pattern of the Appalachian Holler Hunters. Be sure and check out Realtree's newest pattern, Realtree Timber, to stay concealed all season long. Man, are you tired?
Dude, I'm killed.
Man, how can you be tired? It's opening day of turkey season.
I know, we've been scouting all week.
Man, take one of these rowdy energies. Hit a lot of fire under you real quick. That's better now, ain't it?
Oh, yeah.
Now we'll run through the woods like a madman.
Like a Cheeto on cocaine.
Let's go get it.